What is up, NFC North fans? I know that I said it would be a while since, before we'd be back, but here we are. It doesn't matter. A week later, we got some pre-free agency things to talk about. We've had enough go on in the division, whether it's coaching changes, GM changes, lots of things going on. And I got to know, what does it look like for each one of these teams as they prep for free agency? What is the salary cap situation? Who do you need to re-sign? Who do you need to get rid of? Who do you need to possibly trade? I've got a question for One Bar in the Minnesota Vikings because they've got a player that I'm interested in. That being said, so good to be back. Let me bring in the fellas. We got Christian, Bass, One Bar, and Nick. Fellas, so good to see you. I know it was only a week off. It feels like forever. I was telling you guys backstage that I moved. Bass, I know that you've got a move coming up. Yeah, a week or two away before your move?
Late February, but yeah. A lot of moves, off-season moves, just like the teams.
Yeah.
A lot of moves.
There we go. Yeah, all of us are making moves. Well, Nick, brother, really the reason that we're doing this show is because I missed the Trump impression. So I'm glad that we're back.
I'm glad that we're back too. It's like I never left. NFL never sleeps. It's a very beautiful thing. Wow, it's good to see my good friend Jesse. Really good to see everybody else. Baz and I are pretty good friends because we're both in Cancun together. It's a beautiful place. Let's act like we're drinking tequila on the beach and have a great offseason. Rip it, Jesse. I want to see it.
Let's go. All right, One Bar, we're going to start with you because you had the biggest change of note that I can think of. Firing your GM. Congratulations, or I'm sorry. I don't know how you feel about it. Either way, man, let's start there. Talk to me about losing Kwesi, and you guys aren't hiring a GM till after free agency or the draft. Like, talk me through this whole situation. How do you feel?
Yeah, stuff's getting weird. Stuff is getting very weird in Minnesota right now. So yeah, Kwesi, Gonzo, after this all came out, all the beat writers for the Vikings and everybody very close, of course, they come out and say, you know what, nobody's surprised. We've been hearing these rumblings for quite some time. As fans, everybody else, yeah, very, very surprised of the timing. We figured it was going to happen right away. And the fact that he got fired, not a huge surprise. It was more the timing. But when you look back at it, I mean, the writing was on the wall. It's a huge, huge change. I'll talk about the fact that we don't have a GM until after the draft in a second. But just Kwesi alone, the biggest thing that is coming out in Viking land is basically it comes down to the quarterback. I mean, he had some very, very bad drafts. There's no doubt about that. Everything was just kind of stockpiling. But the biggest rumor that comes out is basically Kevin O'Connell made it known that J.J. McCarthy was not ready this year. He did not want to play J.J. McCarthy this year. Not saying that Kevin O'Connell isn't a J.J. McCarthy guy. He just flat out said he's not ready to go. And the biggest issue was Kwesi said, no, he's playing. Like, you were playing this quarterback. And, of course, we know what happened. We saw what happened. He wasn't ready to go. Will he ever be great? Who knows? But the fact is the quarterback position just got completely effed all year. Kevin O'Connell wanted to bring in somebody a little more seasoned, whether it was Aaron Rodgers, whether it was re-signing Sam Darnold. That was his nail in the coffin. You see hearing all these other things come out about him taking 2 weeks off when he had a kid and all this other stuff, whatever. That's all nothing. It comes down to 0 playoff wins, disastrous drafts, not so great trades, and he's gonzo. And the Vikings, they obviously have to find a GM. It's a little weird that they're waiting until after the draft, but there's a lot of good candidates out there that, there's only 32. There's only 32 of these things in the league. They will have some good candidates out there. I mean, the dude from Andy Weidel from the Steelers, I like that guy. I'm not going to go down my whole list, but there's some good options out there. Rob Brzezinski, the guy, he's been with the Vikings for 25 plus years. He is going to be kind of manning the GM role until after the draft. Kevin O'Connell sounds like he has a lot more saying things that people realize as well. So Kevin O'Connell, Brian Flores, and Rob Brzezinski will be manning as far as what goes down with the Vikings. The crazy part is this is going to be a crazy offseason because as of now, quarterback position is up in the air. These are some big moves that they're going to have to make without a GM. And then they're going to have to find a GM and just be like, all right, fine, I'll deal with this quarterback that you just traded 8 first-round picks for. So, yeah, Viking land, it's pretty crazy right now, but damn it, it's fun. I like it. A change needed to happen. The funny part is Kwesi, his record, I have it here. His record was 43-25. That's not bad. It's not bad, but it was a disaster last year, so warranted. Vikings fans are fairly happy about the move.
How much of him getting fired at this time has to do with Sam Darnold going to the Super Bowl? You really think that had a play in this?
I mean, it didn't help his cause by any means, but I mean, Nick's shaking his head, yeah, but I think it comes back to just the fact that more so like we really like if Sam Darnold was on the Vikings, are we going to the Super Bowl? I don't think so. It's a completely different team. I'd love to say we were going to the Super Bowl, but it's apples to oranges. I don't think it helped this cause at all, but I don't think that really had a ton to do with it. I think the timing was so the Vikings definitely have very good owners in the Wilfs. They've done so much for this team. They're not getting any younger. They think things through. They do not do things just out of their gut. And they gave it a little bit of time and say, you know what, this ain't happening. And maybe Sam Darnold, maybe it was the cherry on top.
Can we talk about this new background of yours? It's pretty impressive. I like it. Is that a new camera too? You're looking extra clear.
Yeah, I was talking with Baz too. I've been wanting to get a camera forever. I basically had a camcorder from 1988 for the last couple of years. So I finally got a camera, and now my gingerness really is peaking on this thing.
Looking good, man. You're looking very, very crisp. I'm not gonna lie. All
Those
right,
blue
let's
eyes,
talk-
one bar. I mean, shoot, holy moly!
I'm getting
Gonna have
sunburnt right now. Put some sunscreen on.
Nice. Well, let's talk about your salary cap situation. No GM, and obviously entering free agency. Now, here's what's interesting to me. I think you can do a draft without a GM because you're going to rely on your scouts anyways. They're the ones that do this year round, unless you've got like a GM who's an ex-scout or, usually they're kind of a face guy. They run the show, but ultimately they're listening to their scouts anyways. In this situation, I think the draft is okay, but free agency might be a little bit of a different story. Talk to me, though. Where do the Vikings stand from a salary cap standpoint as they enter free agency?
Full balls. We're 49 million over the cap. But here's the thing. So Rob Brzezinski, the guy who's going to play GM for the until the draft is over, he's a wizard when it comes to the salary cap. He's been the man who has done the salary cap for the Vikings for 15 plus years. And you know what? Salary cap, does anybody really believe this is a thing? Like, yeah, do I want to be 49 million in the hole? Absolutely not. But they're going to be able to make some moves as always, and they're going to do the thing. I think we're the worst except for the Chiefs, but they got some moves that they can definitely make. They're going to restructure Jefferson, Darrisaw, Fries. And on top of that, I mean, you got the Ryan Kelly, you got Aaron Jones, who most likely isn't going to be back. TJ Hawkinson, the money is there, and the restructures alone, there's going to be about $40 million. So they definitely have their work cut out for them. But they're gonna be able to make some moves. They have to.
Okay. Well, when I look at your guys' team, give me some players that you think are like restructure, re-sign, cut candidates.
No, I mean restructure Darrisaw, Jefferson, possibly Brian O'Neill. Like I said, Will Fries. That's going to free up a ton of money right there. As far as Vikings upcoming free agents, they're kind of lucking out. I mean, it seems like every year you have that guy like, oh man, you're just waiting. Please resign him. But they really don't have that guy this year. I mean, Jalen Naylor's a free agent, but I mean, if he goes somewhere else, nobody's going to be overly crying. So free agency wise, as far as bringing our own guys back, there's not that guy out there that we're just going to be sweating all night for. And as far as the trades, I mean, you got TJ Hawkinson. If they can find anybody to take TJ Hawkinson, that would be beautiful. He would be a cut candidate as well. Obviously Jordan Addison, who I'm sure you want to chat about. Jordan Addison is a guy that personally I would love for the Vikings to move on from, not from a talent standpoint, but just from we're sick of his BS standpoint. So yeah, there's some moves to be made, but like I said, as far as re-signing anybody, there's nothing crazy. Jalen Redmond, defensive lineman that has turned into a hell of a football player. He's an exclusive rights free agent. He deserves a contract. It'll be interesting to see if they pay him this year.
Addison's exactly who I wanted to talk about. I know that Buffalo Bills have been rumored to be in on him. The 49ers have been rumored to be in on him. Listen, he's not necessarily like a model citizen by any means. However, I will say, if you got a good locker room, maybe you can absorb a player like a Addison. Do you think Addison gets moved? What are the chances?
It's crazy. I mean, like I said, Vikings offseason, like we don't even have a GM. This is anything is on the table. So it's just a complete guessing game as far as what's going on. I think this is the time to trade him. I mean, he made it about a week into the offseason before he was at wherever the hell he was, a restaurant where he wouldn't leave. I mean, we've all been there, but we're also not, first round picks making millions of dollars. It's crazy. So I would like them to move on from him. Again, hell of a football player, a number one on a lot of teams in the league, I believe. It's just going to be interesting to see what if anybody what they offer. What is this guy worth right now? I mean, he still has a couple years left on his rookie contract, which can be very appealing, but all of a sudden he has all this baggage as well. So personally, I would take whatever you can and just figure it out. We got Justin Jefferson. Him and Addison would have been a beautiful story for the years to come. And really, when it comes down to it, when Addison's up for a new contract, they're not going to pay both these guys. So it's move on from them. Get what you can. 49ers, please. Call Kevin O'Connell. Call Rob Brzezinski. I'll take whatever.
All right. Well, cool. We got Mac Jones for you. All right. Anyways, give me top 3 positions of need as you guys enter free agency.
Mac Jones, man. If he
he could be your next Sam Darnold, man. Come on.
I don't know, man. I feel like Mac Jones maybe has peaked. We'll see. Top needs quarterback. They need a quarterback. There's JJ McCarthy. I want JJ McCarthy to be here unless they do some crazy ass trade where, everything right now, rumors with the Vikings quarterback situation, the Joe Burrows, the Kyler Murrays, the Mac Joneses, the signing Malik Willis, all those guys, that's all on the table.
Kirk Cousins reunion?
Kirk Cousins, that's all on the table until they make a move. But quarterback is big time. They have to bring in a quarterback that's going to compete. They can't bring in a Jimmy Garoppolo. They can't bring in some half-ass guy that they're just handing over J.J. McCarthy's job to. I want them to bring a guy in that's better than J.J. McCarthy right now. J.J. McCarthy has to win this job. If they sign a guy like a Jimmy Garoppolo or whoever else that is, it's going to be bad news. So quarterback, cornerback, draft. I love those guys in the first round. I love the Avion Terrells. Delane will probably be Gonzo by 18, but there's some very good corners in this draft. So cornerback is definitely up there. And then center. They don't have a center. We don't have a center. Right. Ryan Kelly is going to be retiring, I would hope. He's not going to be back here anyways, but they need a center.
Okay. Well, curious to see how things play out for the Minnesota Vikings.
What's that?
I heard Lubbock will be the center.
You know what? He'd probably be better. He can hold his own up there. He's got big old milkers. He can do it.
All right.
Back to the milkers again. Here we go. He's like, all right, I'll shut up. All right, man. Well, I'm very curious to see how things play out. Christian, let's get to the Detroit Lions, man. Very curious to see what's going on over there. I know last time we talked, you guys had just hired your offensive coordinator. I tried to make you feel a little bit better about Petzing being there, but, it didn't seem to work too well. Either way, I know that there's a lot of movement potentially happening with the Detroit Lions this offseason as well. Just talk to me overall about some of the coaching changes that you guys had, Petzing included, and then we'll get into the rest of it here.
Well, I'm not gonna lie, it was like Armand. I didn't know who he was, so I definitely had to Google him. I think I said that before, and then going to go pick up the Giants interim head coach to fill the high offensive role as well. That threw me off because I'm like, I got to see who he is as well. But it's gonna sound crazy. Like the one thing we got to kill when we got to address his mindset, because going from first to fourth, you going backwards. And it's like, yeah, you gotta figure this stuff out, man, because a couple years ago you were this close to making the Super Bowl, and then you just, laid an egg, unfortunately, in the second half to the 49ers. But then it's like, okay, well, what we got to do to get better? And then you just Brad Holmes just keeps re-signing these injured players, and you just brought Levi Onwuzurike and Josh Pascal back, and I was just like, man, like you got to kill this mindset off, y'all. Like, I'm not sure if you in love with these players or something. It's just like, yeah, I'm just gonna keep bringing these guys back. It's like, look, Like, you try to fill roster spots, man, you could just come pick me up and I can just hold the bench. I got no problem with it. Pay me a couple $1 million. I easily do it. And I'll never play on the field, never worry about getting tackled or tackle anybody. You could definitely pay me a couple million to do that. But, as far as everything else, like I said, the coaches, I really didn't know. But I was like, I honestly gonna lie, I asked this Cardinal fan, like, how do you feel about him being gone? They're like, I love it. He sucked. I was just like, oh my God, like, I'm kind of dreading, but I also got to see it. I'm more a visual person. I got to see it with versus, James Conner. You now got Jahmyr Gibbs and David Montgomery. Even they was talking about, he's talking about, snatching souls. That's going to be something that was really good. So I was like, yeah, that really sounds like a Dan Campbell guy, but it's still more how you guys going to match together, because everybody's just like, yeah, it's always going to work out. It's always going to work out. But we thought the same thing with John Moore. We thought the same thing with Anthony Lynn. So we really just got to see what these key places are going to do, especially with these coaches, because unfortunately, I think I said this as well. Unfortunately, I feel like the people that we're starting to pick up are picked up before are definitely are starting to get a little vocal, not buying into the Dan Campbell, Brad Holmes regime anymore. I think that's the part we messed up, because I believe I said it before. These guys at one point in time, you never seen them go on social media. You never seen them talking about how disgruntled they were. You never really heard anything the first couple of years that Dan Campbell was there. But this year, you guys heard a lot about the decision making and everything going on. So I'm like, I'm not sure what's going on with that either. It's like, you guys got to kill this mindset off. You guys got to go back to that grind, that hustle, that real grit that everybody was talking about. And it's just like, come on, guys, you got to get back there. So that's one thing I would say that needs to change as far as the coaching and just the mindset of everybody in the Lions organization. Excuse me.
Well, listen, I know that you guys are a little bit behind in the salary cap. I believe you guys are about $8 million over the cap right now, but a lot of movement could happen. So give me some players that you think do need to be re-signed, maybe restructured, extended, or just flat out cut.
So big shout out to those for not only giving me this invite, for also just like having me look something up. So I definitely looked it up, because the salary cap I really didn't understand. But you're talking about Jared Goff as well as St. Brown need to be restructured. That way it save you some money. Unfortunately, letting Taylor Decker go, letting Graham go will also save you some salary cap, but you also have to be willing to spend it on players. So I would restructure. I'm restructuring Goff. I'm restructuring Brown. I'm letting Taylor Decker go. I'm letting Sam Glasgow go. It seemed like every year they let Dan Skipper go, but fortunately he ended up retiring, so you don't have to restructure his. But that's one thing you have to address at the offensive line and really put money into it. And the players I cut, the same players I just talked about, they just pick back up. Like, I'm not paying back Josh Pascal. I'm not doing it. It's like, oh, well, maybe you could trade him. It's like, no, man. He's been around for years and been injured for years. So you're not getting not even a 7th round for him. Levi Ozarike, still coming back. You're not getting anything off of him. Like, we keep going through these like boom or bust players, but the players are just bust, and it's not going to work. So you have to stop re-signing these injured players and just let them go, and then try to address that maybe free agency or the draft. So those 2 players I will let go.
Yeah, I'm looking at it right now. Jared Goff about $40 million, Amon-Ra St. Brown $21 million, Aleem McNeil $17 million. I mean, you guys can free up a crap ton of money right here. You cut Decker, to your point, that's almost $11 million. So you guys have a lot of flexibility. I will say that's one thing that you guys have done a good job of. Well, let me ask you this. Top 3 positions of need, in your opinion, as you guys enter the offseason here?
Offensive line, most definitely, because we see that the reason why we are 4th, the reason why we did make it to the playoffs, the reason why we were 9-8 and 4th in our division is because of the offensive line. You've seen that with halfway decent line, Jared Goff can make it work, but that's definitely number 1. Number 2, you got to give Aiden Hutchinson some help, whether it's in free agency or in the draft. That's definitely something else you need to get, because you need to get somebody on the side of Hutch that can actually make plays, because as you see, like, I know it's gonna start a debate, but it's like you see Aiden Hutchinson, he's being triple team, double team. It's just like you just kind of essentially just take him completely out the game. They were saying about they do the same thing with Micah Parsons, so it's like you just take him out the game when you triple like that. It's like, okay, who's gonna pick up the slack? And we don't really have the other person that's gonna pick up the slack when that happens. So it's just like we have to figure that out. And also, it's crazy as it sounds because you have two good safeties, but you also got to address safety because you're not really sure what's going on with Kirby. I hope everything's good, but you don't know if that's going to be once again, the same thing with the injuries. Also, how's Brian Branch looking? Because I like him as a player. I definitely think he's impactful. I think he's good, but the thing is, his contract is coming up as well, and you're going to have a bunch of money, so it's like his injury is going to start catching up. You guys going to be willing to pay him? Are you guys going to be willing to address this situation? Because you see when once again, I'm name dropping. Terrion Arnold, I think Amik is probably about to be gone, and you just keep throwing the ball over Terrion Arnold's head. It's just going to be just air raid on these Lions, and we're just going to go back to the bottom again, and don't want that to happen.
Well, to your point, I mean, injuries have been a major issue over there. Maybe you guys got a substation, just kind of like what we do over there, a little electrical station by the field. You might want to look into that. I heard that there's an issue there with the 49ers. But listen, you guys, to your point, tons of injuries. It sucks, because to your point, you also have very good safeties, but they're both injured. Achilles injury, that's not great. Brian Branch looked like an absolute superstar. How does he recover? Plus, you got to pay him. So you got to be forward thinking, looking at these positions that maybe you thought were solidified and solved for. So very curious to see what happens with the Detroit Lions this offseason as well. Well, before we get to the kings of the division, I do got to hear from our guys over at Sleeper. Sleeper, get a 100% deposit match when you use promo code RTS. They are the fastest growing fantasy app out there. And I've got some more or less picks that I've made here for the Super Bowl. I put 10 down to win 135.90. And here's the picks for the Super Bowl. I got Mac Hollins coming in barefoot with 28.5 receiving yards. I'm taking the more on that. I got Ramondre Stevenson with more on 39.5 rushing yards. That one was basically like a free pick. I got Kenneth Walker scoring an anytime touchdown. Rashid Shaheed needs just 2 receptions. By the way, if you're a complete degenerate, Rashid Shaheed is plus 3,000 to be MVP. I don't know. Maybe he gets a kick return, a couple big explosive plays. Might want to look into that one. And then JSN with the more on 94.5 receiving yards. Those are the picks. $10 to win 135.90. You can tail us or you can fade us, but either way, use promo code RTS and Sleeper. Link is pinned to the top of the chat. All right, we got a couple super chats here. Speaking of the chat, first one, Chris Viking, as you know, Vikings win the division next season with McCarthy. What he didn't say is McCarthy going to start? He could be the backup. He's just on the roster is what he meant there. He didn't say exactly what position, but he'll be on the roster. So good thing to hear. And then he also says Packers suck and finish last next year. Skol Vikings. All right. Well, good to hear from you, man. Good to hear from you. All right. Listen, let's hear from our other sponsor here. We got RotoWire checking in. Let me add them here. All right. RotoWire, you can get 15% off using promo code RTS. And if you're using Sleeper or any other daily fantasy app, you definitely want to check out RotoWire because they've got an AI algorithm that's going to help you out not only through the NFL season, but if you go to Picks and Props, you go to Daily Fantasy Football, you can go to Sleeper here, and you're going to see they got picks for every sport. Most of what you're going to see here is going to be basketball related. But of course, they also have the Super Bowl ready to go. They got your more or lesses. They've got a confidence meter. Check them out. They will definitely help you win some coin for sure. 15% off using promo code RTS, and they can help you win some scratch. And then the last thing here, if you have not entered yet, download Covered, free to do, We've still got that signed Caleb Williams helmet ready to rock. If you use promo code Ball Don't Lie when you sign up, you'll get some free plays. And basically, here's how it works. Number one, it's a financial app, so it's going to help you with your finances. But if nothing else, you can download the app. You can play some games like Flappy Birds. They call it something different, but they got multiple games there, 21, what have you. And if you're the high scorer when this contest ends, that's all you have to be, the high scorer. You get one play per day. You can win yourself a signed Caleb Williams helmet. So download Covered. Check them out. Promo code Ball Don't Lie. Well, speaking of ball not lying here, let me remove this. We've got the Packers coming in this offseason. I know you guys had some changes as well. Hell, your head coach is back, so that's good to know, but you lost your defensive coordinator. You've made some replacements there. Your head coach's brother got hired. I know that's not necessarily from your team, but that was pretty cool as well. So talk to me, Bass. First of all, talk to me about some of those changes on the coaching staff. What can we expect from the Green Bay Packers?
Yeah, there's a fair amount of them, and we're used to Packers fans. We're used to kind of going into some of the off seasons like, okay, we fired our defensive coordinator. Who are we gonna hire to build this thing, from the ground up? I believe this is the first ever. I mean, it might span far back. It's got to, but it might be the first ever DC to get a head coaching job directly from the Green Bay Packers, which is actually crazy, right? So to bring in Jonathan Gannon, to get to my point, he was a candidate that I thought the Packers would be looking at because, again, they're not building from the ground up. They're trying to bring in someone with experience. Gannon has that, defensive coordinator with the Philadelphia Eagles, coached 2 really good defenses, one of which got to the Super Bowl, albeit they kind of blew that game due to part in defense. But still, he's coached good defenses in the past with the Philadelphia Eagles, got the most production out of the talent that he was given with the Philadelphia defense. What I really like about Gannon is he's a very adaptable defensive coordinator. He's a guy that I think when he's being hired as the Eagles defensive coordinator said, I don't have a scheme. You got to be, not really too scheme dependent. You got to have adaptability. Now, what he does do a lot is he runs a lot of cover 4 mash. He runs a lot of cover 6, cover 7, like Saban does. And what that really does is it basically focuses on communication with your defensive backs, your safeties being able to match, 5 yards down the field if you're running, say, cover 7, and it limits blown coverages. The Cardinals were the lowest in the league last season in terms of blown coverages. Now, the Cardinals were a dumpster fire on their own, but in terms of their defense, which again, he wasn't calling the plays, it was actually Nick Rallis, their defensive coordinator there, but he was obviously involved in the process. Gannon really relies on getting pressure with your front 4/front 5. Doesn't bring too much pressure, which is okay if you have someone like Micah Parsons. Now, without that, it's a big concern. The Packers struggle to get pressure with their front 4 without Micah Parsons. We saw that later in the year. We saw that before they traded for him. But the main thing here is experience. Getting a guy in that has experience to come in, coach this defense, kind of handle that whole thing, kind of try to pick up where they left off with Jeff Hafley. It's unfortunate Hafley is on his way out, but I do wish him the best in Miami under John Eric Sullivan. Maybe they'll go and sign Malik Willis, Quay Walker. We'll see. A huge addition for Jonathan Gannon was hiring Bobby Babich, the former defensive coordinator for the Buffalo Bills. Now, I know a lot of Bills fans are celebrating that Babich is gone. That was as defensive coordinator. I think Babich is an excellent defensive backs coach, which is where he started in Buffalo. Then he was a linebackers coach for a little bit there, then DC. But this is going to be huge for the Packers. They're investing a lot of experience in their defensive back coaching staff. He's going to be their defensive back coach and passing game coordinator. He's going to help Gannon transition that defensive back room, play smart. What he was able to do with Christian Benford, Taron Johnson, even Trey White later in his career is very impressive. And again, I think he's just better as a defensive back coach rather than a DC. Now, they had an additional defensive back coach. Jesse, you may know more about him than I do, but Daniel Bullocks. He's been with you guys for 9 years. And this is, again, investing so much experience into this defensive back room. That was our main issue last year, cornerback. Okay. It feels like multiple times, even in super important situations, miscommunication was a problem with these cornerbacks, blown coverages. Just you're kind of sitting there wondering what in the world are these cornerbacks doing? And maybe that's for a lack of talent. Maybe it's coaching. Maybe it's a little bit of both. But getting all this experience in here is going to be great for this Packers defense. And I'm thinking with Bullocks being hired as a defensive back coach, but Babbage also getting that title, I think they're going to split it up. I think Bullocks is going to take care of the safeties, which is what he was in the past with the 49ers, a safety coach. And I think Babbage will take care of the cornerbacks. And I really like that. A couple other coaching moves. Sean Mannion, we heard, got offensive coordinator with the Philadelphia Eagles. I kind of expected this to happen, maybe not this soon, but I saw offensive coordinator in his future. He became a quarterback coach just a year ago once Tom Clements retired. And, what he was able to do with the development of Malik Willis, also helping out with Jordan Love, learning under Tom Clements. I do believe it's a great hire for Philadelphia. I wish him the best. I wish we could have kept him around. But at the end of the day, even if he was promoted, he would have never called plays here so long Matt LaFleur's here. So he gets this upgrade to Philly, gets to call plays. Outside of that, we still have Adam Stenovich at offensive coordinator. A lot of people have issues with him. I don't really know what he does or what he doesn't do because Matt LaFleur is calling plays. We still have Luke Butkus at offensive line coach, which I swear he's a industry plant from Chicago, and he's just ruining our offensive line because I feel like he 100% has not done a good job at this O-line coach spot. And then today we got to update that Rich Bisaccia is going to remain special teams coordinator. Again, a lot of people have issues with him, but the Packers don't invest in special teams like other teams do. They don't play some of their starting talent like other teams do. So a lot of coaching moves, but so far I'm pretty happy with them.
Well, I will tell you, Daniel Bullocks is a great hire, absolute stud. A couple of years ago when the 49ers hired Nick Sorensen within house, I was banging the table for Daniel Bullocks, and Sorensen was an absolute dumpster fire. I think Bullocks would have done a hell of a job. There's a couple times actually I was hoping that they would hire him. The year prior, I was hoping that they had hired him. They didn't go that direction. Then they had another chance to do it. They didn't go that direction again. So I'm glad that he was able to kind of get out of there, spread his wings a little bit. I think he's going to be a hell of a defensive coordinator one day. So I think you guys got a fantastic hire in Daniel Bullocks. He's going to help out big time for sure. Well, talk to me about the Packers and their salary cap situation heading into the offseason. I'm very curious to see, where the wiggle room is. Obviously, you guys made the splash trade of the century last offseason. What does it look like this offseason? How are you guys set up from a cap space perspective?
I'm glad we're talking about this because it's really fresh on my mind. I do a fixing the salary cap video every single year. I did that earlier this week, and salary cap's one of my favorite things to really break down and figure out. But like One Bar mentioned, is it really real? Because every team, every year, there's a handful of teams that you're like, oh, how are they going to manage that? And then every time they manage it. Now you're always kicking the can down the road. And that's why the Saints consistently have no money every single year. So you got to be careful with that. But in terms of the Green Bay Packers, they're not as worse off as a lot of people are saying. A lot of opposing NFC North fans, like I hear a lot of Bears fans, they'll go, oh, the Packers ruined their future. They leveraged their future with Jordan Love and Micah Parsons. They're going to have no money. Right now, they're $1.5 million over the cap. For 2026 cap hit wise, Jordan Love's 36 million and Micah Parsons is 19 million. I mean, that's very manageable in my opinion. Now, do those go up with option bonuses and all of that down the line? Yes, 100% does. Every contract is going to be backloaded because the salary cap keeps going up and up and up every single year. So they're only $1.5 million over the cap right now. And there's some bigger contracts that need to be addressed. Do you want me to just start diving down into restructure, cut?
Yeah. Jump into
extension?
it, man. It's here. Yeah. You know what's going on.
All right. Fair enough. So one of the big ones is Rashawn Gary. And a lot of people look at him this past season and say he had a very big down year. You would expect him to have his best year yet when Micah Parsons was on the field. And given he did start the year strong, he was leading the league in sacks with 4.5. And then the last 8 games, I think he had 0 sacks. So, I don't think the Packers can keep him around at that $28 million cap hit for 2026. And a lot of people would say, why don't we trade him? Why don't you get something with Rashawn Gary? Well, one thing about that is another team has to take on the base salary of $18 million. So no team's going to do that. Maybe a conditional 7. So you got to cut Rashawn Gary, and that's going to save you $10.9 million against the cap. You're going to incur that all that $17 million dead. You're not going to do it post June 1st because why would you? You need to get the money to be able to spend it in free agency, and you need to clear that money before new league year start in the middle of March. So I think you cut Rashawn Gary outright. You move forward with Lucas Van Ness, Barron Sorrell, you drafted in the 4th round. You drafted Colin Oliver in the 5th round. You can bring back Brenton Cox, JJ Nigbari. There's guys you could bring back. You move on from Rashawn Gary, who showed little production and, quite frankly, very little effort last season. Another big cut is going to be Elton Jenkins. Was playing center for us this past season, not at a great level, then suffered a lower leg injury, I believe. Didn't return the whole last season. Sean Ryan stepped in at center, seemingly played better than him. Elton Jenkins is an easy one here. They'll save $19.5 million with a cut here. He's turning 31 years old. He had a great run with the Packers, playing a multitude of different positions on the O-line, but I think it's time to move on based on the money that he's owed. In terms of restructures, there's a few options here. I don't have as many as I usually do with the Packers. A lot of times it's like, we have to restructure a ton of guys in order to clear this. Those two moves alone give the Packers like $30 million in cap space. So restructuring is like kind of if you need a little bit more to make more extensions or sign outside free agents or bring back some unrestricted guys or take care of your restricted and exclusive rights free agents. You could restructure Xavier McKinney. That could clear up a maximum of $6 million. You could restructure Josh Jacobs, could clear up to a maximum of 4.7. Nate Hobbs, 4.8. You don't need to do any of those three. But in terms of extension, the three that really stand out, it's Devontae Wyatt, who's on the 5th-year option, which is a fully guaranteed 5th year at $12.9 million cap hit. So that's got to change through an extension, and it will. And that can lower it all the way down to like $3 or $4 million cap hit. Then you have Christian Watson, who signed a 1-year extension. So he's under contract for the next season, but it's at an extremely low cap and base salary of 3.4 mil and a cap hit of 6.3 mil. I personally don't think he'll play on that due to how he recovered from that ACL. And I think he kind of earned an extension due to him being at this point clear and cut the wide receiver number 1. They likely move on from Dobbs. He'll price his way out of Green Bay in free agency. Then finally, Tucker Kraft. I mean, he suffered a torn ACL, and that might be for the benefit of the Packers, getting a little bit of a deal there because he has to still recover from this ACL. Hopefully he does, knock on wood there, but you have to extend Tucker Kraft. You can't go into the season, his last year of his rookie deal, and then have to absolutely load up the Brinks trunk and back it up to get him to stay in Green Bay. So those are the extensions, those three there. They have a few free agents of their own that, potentially they might want to bring back. Quay Walker, Rasheed Walker. I think Walker's on his way, or Rasheed Walker, is on his way out. Quay, that's kind of up in the air for me. Sean Ryan, they could retain to be a starting center next year. Romeo Dobbs, I think, is on his way out. And then Malik Willis, I don't think they're going to be able to retain it all. So a lot of moves to make, but it's better than it has been in years past with Bakhtiari's deal, Rodgers' deal, and a lot of people that are saying the Packers screwed themselves, I think is just simply false.
Tucker Kraft's an interesting one, right? Because amazing player, but he's coming off that injury, and obviously you don't want him to be in that lame duck year. So I'm curious to see where he lands. I mean, do you think it's one of those things where he gets cashed out fully no matter what, or do they wait and see? Like, what do you think here?
I think he's extended before he plays a snap in 2026 fully. Like that's actually how I think the Packers will ride, because they've done this with so many players where they suffer an injury and they're believing in the process, and they'll get them to a little bit of a discount there. You look at tight ends around the league, both McBride and Kittle at that $19 million mark. So if you can get Kraft slightly below that, I think that's a home run, because in 3 years, Bowers is going to be at like $24 million. So there's so many different things, moving parts, and every time a player gets signed to a massive contract, oh my God, there's so much money. And then 2 years later, they're like 5th or 6th on the list. So, getting Kraft dealt with now is going to save you money in the long term.
What are your top 3 positions of need heading into the offseason, Bass?
Okay. Cornerback. I know Gutekunst talked with the media today, and he said, I think we're good at cornerback. We don't need to sell out for them, and we just need to add depth. And everyone's like, dude, what are you on, man? It's like cornerback was our problem last year. Plain and simple. I have faith in Nixon. I like Valentine. I have faith in Hobbs, but when you have multiple injuries or poor play, that was the downfall of our defense outside of Micah Parsons getting hurt. So I'd say cornerback, there's a couple free agent options. Trey White, because of Bobby Babich, I think bringing him over as a veteran presence could work out there. Alontae Taylor, a couple draft options such as Chris Johnson, D'Angelo Pons I've been looking at, because the Packers don't have a first round pick, remember? So kind of looking at that second round there. Next position would be interior defensive line. The Packers don't really have like a run defender right now, and they could also use more 3 tech helps and pass production that's not named Devontae Wyatt. David Onyemata, Sebastian Joseph Day, some guys in the free agent pool. In terms of the draft, Lee Hunter, Tim Keenan out of Alabama, good run stuffer there. And then the third position is O-line. There's going to be a lot of turnover. Rasheed Walker on his way out. Jordan Morgan should plug in at left tackle. Zach Tom recovering from an injury. We'll see how that goes. Aaron Banks got a lot better down the stretch. When he started to get healthy, he's still going to be our left guard. Anthony Belton plugged in at right guard as a rookie. I think is going to build onto that. Don't really have a center, but we need depth, and we might need a starter. Linderbaum, if he makes it to free agency, if the Packers are willing to dish out that money, go for it. Joel Bitonio, if they want a veteran presence in at guard, or you go through the draft with the most Packers guy ever in Jennings Dunker. I don't know if you've seen him from Iowa,
Yeah,
but that is a Packers alignment to a T. So it's like, get that guy in the building and he'll be a Hall of Famer. There's no doubt about it. Jake Slaughter as well, center out of the draft. So O-line, D-line, trenches, cornerback.
All right, I absolutely love it. Curious to see what happens with the Packers this offseason. Well, Nick, as they say, we save the best for last, and the best in the division were the Chicago Bears. And can they repeat this next year? Well, they've got a lot to build on. I've got to imagine when we get to the positions of need and we talk about the offseason, it's going to be pretty defensive dominant. But what I do know is you had some changes on the coaching staff when it came to the offensive side of the ball. So why don't you talk to me a little bit about some of those coaching changes?
Yeah, so starting off with the big coaching change is obviously we lost Declan Doyle to the Baltimore Ravens, our offensive coordinator. And listen, it makes sense for him. He wasn't the play caller here. That's Ben Johnson. That being said, Declan Doyle is regarded as one of the best up-and-coming offensive minds. He actually, before the offseason, was like maybe he could be a head coach candidate somewhere. He definitely needs time actually calling plays to show that. But what an opportunity for him to go to Baltimore, work with Lamar Jackson, work with that high-powered Baltimore offense that Declan got to see when the Bears played them earlier this year, and that was without Lamar Jackson. So it's a big loss for the Bears, huge game for him, and super happy about it. He wasn't going to go anywhere with Ben Johnson, obviously, calling the plays himself. But Caleb Williams really liked him. The offense really liked him. They talked super highly about him all season long, and after he left, Ben Johnson even said, he's like, there are future head coaches on this team, and he definitely was implying for Declan Doyle. So that was a huge loss for the Bears. And then one that I'm pretty upset about is that we lost Eric Bieniemy, our running backs coach, former Super Bowl champion as an offensive coordinator with the Kansas City Chiefs. He goes back to Kansas City. Obviously makes sense for him. Running backs coach to OC is a huge jump, but also worked with Andy Reid, worked with Patrick Mahomes, worked with some of those guys that are still over in Kansas City. So the Bears lost him. They brought in a few other guys. I think it was Brian Letwig or like something like that. He comes from Boston College, was friends with Ben Johnson. So those guys come in. He comes in. He doesn't even have a for sure position yet. He was the offensive coordinator last year for Boston College. So Ozzie Trapillo also knows him, our left tackle, which that's someone in the draft that we might have to go after. I know we'll go through that in a little bit, Jesse. But the good news is that we ended up keeping Al Harris, which Al Harris is huge defensive backs coach. I say this all the time, but he didn't have a healthy secondary all year, and that secondary usually consists of Kyler Gordon, Jalen Johnson, Tyreek Stevenson, Terrell Smith. He had Kevin Byard, who was an All-Pro and Pro Bowler, Jaquan Brisker. A lot of guys overall that he is super, super beneficial for. And bringing him in. Like we saw Nashawn Wright go from a guy that barely made the team, wasn't even expected to make the 53-man roster. And suddenly it's like, oh, this guy could get a $3 or $50 million contract because he had 5 interceptions, 11 pass deflections, 3 fumble recoveries, and 2 forced fumbles. Like this guy flat out rocks. And Al Harris brought him with him, or it seems like he encouraged the Bears from his time with Dallas to bring him in. He was on the Vikings last year with one bar, and honestly, I think that was a really good move for him because he got to go against Justin Jefferson. But he comes in an impactful player, and Al Harris really elevated that group. Also, Tremaine Edmonds, obviously having the big year he had some impact there as well. But he's a really good combination with Dennis Allen, so super happy that he stayed. Dan Rochar as well stayed, our offensive line coach, so that was really big. Overall, though, the Bears lost those 2 guys. We lost Ian Cunningham, our assistant general manager, which we didn't get the comp picks at the moment, but the league still hasn't determined if it was a full promotion or not. I know Atlanta is kind of weird how they're structured, and they're saying Matt Ryan's the guy, but then Matt Ryan came out in his interview and said, oh, well, I'm actually not going to be working with the scouting team or the team getting free agents and stuff. Like, that's what a general manager does. Like, I'm going to let them do their thing. So Bears still have an opportunity to get 2 compensatory picks, which is great. But overall, that's kind of the news from the coaching staff. So we still needed an OC. Press Taylor, who is currently our pass game coordinator, former Jaguars offensive coordinator, is rumored to be potentially getting called up. We've had a couple other phone calls with others. So the Bears probably won't hire someone for another couple of days here, but they've definitely started to do their search. And everyone that's walking into that room knows that they're not going to be the primary play caller. It's more of learning about Ben Johnson, how to be a strong play caller like he is. And it's a good opportunity, especially with a young Bears offense. It's a really good resume builder. And if the Bears continue to have success, like that person's probably going to call either for an OC job or maybe, who knows, a head coach job, kind of like Declan Doyle was rumored to be. So not a ton of moves overall, but I'm happy that this Bears coaching staff is staying mostly retained at the moment.
Well, selfish reasons here. My son, my 11-year-old son, is a huge Ravens fan, and every day he's like, "Who are we hiring? Who are our coaches going to be? Are they good?" And I said, I think Declan Doyle's a bright young future head coach in this league, but I didn't know a lot about him. So you're saying, tell my son, good hire, right? Is that what I'm hearing from you?
Yeah, fantastic hire. He's 29 years old. He's worked with Sean Payton and Ben Johnson, and he literally rejected the Eagles offensive coordinator position because clearly the Ravens had that much interest in him, and the Ravens are building a super young staff too. And I think that he's going to do really good things. He's highly regarded clearly. So yeah, your son should be very happy with Declan Doyle.
All right, awesome. Yeah, that's what I told him. I said, I know he was a tight ends coach for Peyton, which is a great offensive mind, and then now Ben Johnson. So good to hear. All right, well, talk to me about the Chicago Bears and where they stand from a salary cap perspective entering this offseason.
Yeah, so the Bears actually have some money, all $5 million if it ends up being $304 million in between that number that the NFL has predicted from Tom Pelissero. Yeah, not a lot of cash, but the Bears have a ton of opportunities to restructure guys like DJ Moore, Joe Thuney, Grady Jarrett, a lot of contracts here that can be moved around, even Tremaine Edmonds. There's some cap casualties, and like Baz was saying, it's that season where we're all making contract, like who's a cap casualty, who can get things moved around. If the Bears were to just do a couple of restructures, they can get well over $30 million freed up right there. So that's $35 million. I always take away $14 million from that number because you have rookies that you have to pay, especially with how first and second rounders have been getting paid a ton more lately. So that would put the Bears at like $21 million technically. And then you have a couple other guys, obviously, that can restructure. Jalen Johnson can't. Bass said it best. You don't want to be like the Saints where you're constantly restructuring, but like 3 or 4 every year would be great. I know that the Bears converted Khalil Mack's number 1 year entirely into a signing bonus. You still had to kick some of the cash down, but it helped out. Ryan Poles is super good with the cap. I think that he is really, really solid and has planned ahead for this situation. One guy I would like to see restructure is Kyler Gordon. We got 3 games out of him this year, and we're paying him some stupid money next year. So Bears do have an opportunity to open up a ton of cap. There's also some cap casualties like DeAndre Swift could save the Bears. I think it's like $6.2 million. Bears were to trade Cole Kmet, who's a trade target potentially, or release him. That saves over $5 million. I know that Ben Johnson likes his 2 tight end set, which is obviously worked out well. Colson Loveland's rocked, but you're paying Cole Kmet over $11 million this year, and he's not producing numbers. And his blocking's okay. It's not fantastic. So that's another option right there. But Tremaine Edmonds, Bears can get over $15 million if they decide to get rid of him. And right there now you're pushing a ton of cash. I want to see the Bears bring back some other players, which I know we'll get into in a second, but there's a ton of opportunities to open up cap space. It's just they got to be super strategic about it. And I hope that they're aggressive in free agency, as there's a guy named Trey Hendrickson that I would love to see Dennis Allen get repaired with.
Player I was going to ask you about is Jalen Johnson. Now, I know that you guys just signed him to a massive deal a season or 2 ago, but he's already out of guaranteed money. Now, I know that if you just outright cut him, you're going to take some massive dead money. You will save some, but usually players don't like to enter seasons without guaranteed money. So do you think that there's a chance that they rework his deal, or maybe they put him on the trade block? You guys are... Although thin throughout the season at corner due to injury, you do have a lot of good corners like on that roster, right? And a lot of you got money to spend. You got the draft ahead of you. Do you think there's a possibility he could be on his way out?
You said Jalen Johnson, right?
Jalen Johnson, yes, sir.
Yeah, I mean, like, it's hard to say because imagine what he could have been like with Al Harris if Al Harris made Nashawn Wright who he is. You know what I mean? And when Kyler Gordon was on the field, he was so solid. Kevin Byard, too. The other thing, too, that I want to say to that is Jalen Johnson agreed to the contract. You know what I mean? Like, he's the one that sat there and potentially was going to hold out and then became the highest paid defensive back for a second. It's like, okay, like hopefully you haven't run out of that money because you got paid a ton more than any 5 of us will ever make all combined together in our entire life. I hope one of us does, but yeah, and don't forget about me when you do. But overall, Jalen Johnson chose that he signed the contract. He shouldn't be mad about it. If he's mad about it, then yeah, be like, hey, we're going to convert some of yours to a signing bonus, but you put yourself in this position. And he didn't even really play last year. And when he did play, I think he rushed himself back. I'll stand on the hill that Jalen Johnson should not have come back as soon as he did. I think that he rushed it because now he's potentially going to have to go through more rehabbing this year, which is not on the Bears' dime. It's on his. And like you're saying, it's like, oh, well, I spent all this money to take care of myself. Well, yeah, but you should have been taking care of yourself before because you missed most of training camp. And then you come back and you miss opening day against the Vikings. And then you come back against the Lions, you make one pass deflection, and then you're out for another 10 weeks. So going into that question, I would hope Jalen Johnson would kind of factor some things into here that he's put himself in this position.
Yeah, absolutely. Well, I'm curious to see what happens with them. Top 3 positions of need as you guys enter this offseason. Where are you looking, Nick?
Ooh, I didn't even get to talk about people I want re-signed, Jesse.
Oh, go ahead. Sorry. No, you're right.
No,
It's your show,
I'm going
man.
off what you wrote.
It's your world. I'm just living in it. Go ahead, man. Take it over.
I'm just getting lost in one bar's big, beautiful eyes. Him in that camera, he looks so good. Wow, beautiful. Anyway, guys, I want re-signed on the Bears. Kevin Byard's number 1 priority, and Ryan Poles has already made that super duper clear. You got to bring that guy back, considering what he's done. And fun fact, we have actually 0 safeties on our roster at the moment. All of them had expiring contracts. Jonathan Owens, Jaquan Brisker, which I said to myself, I was like, if Jaquan Brisker goes to the Green Bay Packers, that would be the second Penn State safety that we drafted.
This, baby.
Yeah.
Hey, let's let it happen. We'll follow the same route as Trey Amos. I'll be fine with that.
I don't want to let it happen, please.
Interception week 1 against the Bears, right? Right when you
okay.
I'm just kidding.
This is my time to talk. Shush. So, anyway, just kidding, Bass. Love you. So anyway, Kevin Byard's number 1. I'm going to go DeMarco Jackson, linebacker that we brought in this past year, right before. He was a former Saint. NFC Defensive Player of the Week after the Browns game. Not saying much, but still a guy that was a bench player just comes out and does that. Pretty electric, to say the least. You also have your TJ Edwards injuries, your Ruben Hippolyte. So that's number 2. I would like to see CJ Gardner-Johnson back if possible. I know this is a long wish list, but the guy brought so much energy. Yeah. Hey, listen, I called him. He said he's not paying you back. Sorry. But hey, listen. You can call him. I'll give you the number. Anyway,
that's cool.
I would want CJ Gardner-Johnson back just because of the energy and what he did for the Bears this year. So those are like my top 3. Nashawn Wright is pretty darn steep. He's predicted 3 years, $16 million. And, he saw that number and was like, yeah, I want that. Maybe he'll take a discount for Al Harris, but he gets burned all the time in coverage. Looking at the rest of this Bear, Durham Smith, I would love to see back. I think the Bears are going to have to bring back Braxton Jones, as crazy as that is, because Theo Benedict's out for 6 to 12 months. There's a lot of guys on this roster that I would like to see back, but Bears do have 38 guys under contract, and a lot of it's your young core. And what really matters to me is your offensive line is sticking together. Protecting Caleb Williams is key, and also that running game. Another guy that I think this is just the more I think about it, the more I'm afraid it's going to happen. Even though I like him a lot, I think DeAndre Swift's going to get cut because he's just high-paid running back money. You have Kyle Manung guy, and the Bears can draft someone in the later round this year like they did. Jesse, top 3 positions. I didn't want to miss out on my guys. I didn't want to miss out.
Well, Jaquan Brisker. He's been in the league that long. I feel like he was just like 2 off seasons ago. I was scouting him and talking about him. I can't believe he's already been in the league that long. That's crazy.
No, yeah, and he's predicted 3. I think it's like 3 year, $33 million, so $11 million per year. Listen, he's not a bad player. He had a fantastic divisional round game, but he's just such a liability with his concussions because one more he could be, done for his career. 3 positions that we need. Number 1, defensive tackle. I saw a lot of hope in Austin Booker. That's why, like with that first round pick, I think defensive tackle is more likely for the Bears, but they have to get a top defensive tackle this draft. Grady Jarrett, Andrew Billings is apparently not coming back at the moment. I mean, he's a pending free agent, but Javon Dexter, he's also crazy to think, Jesse, that his contract's coming up here soon too, as rookie deal. So the Bears do have to go out and get somebody to address that need to stop the run. The second one is edge. I think that the Bears need to go out and get another edge into that rotation. Dio clearly isn't working out very well. We can't cut him because he has a ton of dead money. It'd be pointless, at least not till next year. And then Austin Booker started to come alive, but you still need to add to that rotation. And number 3, safety. Bears have to go out and get a safety. Jaquan Brisker and Kevin Byard are both not coming back. It's going to be one or the other, and it's probably going to be Byard, considering, again, he's been called up by Ryan Poles himself. I think that they're going to end up drafting a safety in the 2nd or 3rd round, someone, a big, strong safety, and they'll be paired with Byard for 2 or 3 years and go from there. So that's how it's looking right now from the Bears offseason. It's weird because last year I was like, I could talk on this the whole hour could go to me about what the Bears could do, but they're in a position right now that they're looking pretty good, but they still have some moves they have to make.
Yeah, absolutely. Well, I'm curious to see how they build on it, man. Last offseason was all about building that offensive line and putting that offensive weaponry around Caleb Williams to make him look as good as possible. Now he gets a full another year in this system. Curious to see how this offseason goes for him. But this offseason, it is clear that the Chicago Bears are going to go defense, and more defense to build that side of the ball up. But good young team. Just won the division. Can they repeat? We'll find out. I don't know when we're going to be back again. Last time I thought it would be a while, so I'm not even going to open my mouth. We could be back next week. We could be back the week after. Just stay tuned. Make sure that your noties are on so you don't ever miss an episode here of the NFC North Roundtable. But for Bass, for Nick, for One Bar, for Christian, I'm your host, Jesse. We'll be back soon. Much love. Peace.